Welcome back to Recycled Creations. I use a lot of pallet wood in my projects, and today I'm going to show you how to deal with some of the imperfections that you'll encounter. You're going to need a plug cutter and a matching drill bit to fill the nail holes, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. First, drill each hole to a consistent size with the drill. You're going to want to make a consistent depth each time, and if the nail hole needs to be plugged on both faces of the board, go on and drill all the way through. You probably want to put a sacrificial backer board behind the piece to drill straight through to minimize tear out. After you make each hole consistent, go ahead and grab a sand block and sand down any tear out or imperfections. Grab a consistent piece of wood, hopefully a scrap or an offcut from the same project lumber, and cut several plugs to be used to fill the holes. Once you have enough plugs cut, go on and put a little glue in each hole and place one plug in each hole. You might want to give each one a tap with a light hammer to ensure that you've got them seated well. Then I like to use a pull saw to trim each one just proud of the surface of the plank. Since the plugs you're cutting are face grain, you can either sand them flush, or if you have a low angle jack plane, you can actually plane them down and then sand for a fine finish. If you pay attention to the grain direction in the face grain and where you actually pick the plugs from, you can actually make the repair look almost invisible. Here we have some consistently plugged nail holes, and because they're face grain, they can be painted or they will take the stain consistently. Sometimes there's a larger damaged area, such as this 2-inch long nail tear out. I could have just mixed up some 5-minute epoxy and poured in this, but because I'm using an opaque stain on this particular project, I wanted to actually fill it with some similar face grain wood so that the surface would be consistent. For this next operation, we're going to need a router template. It needs to be a shape large enough to encompass the entire damaged area and compatible with the depth of your router collar. I saved these offcuts of 1/8 inch Luan just for this purpose. I started out by making a couple of holes with a Forstner bit, they're wider than the width of the damaged area, and then connected them with the jigsaw. I took the blank over to the spindle sander and cleaned it up a bit so that it had a nice smooth space for the collar to ride on. Next, I install my router inlay set in my router base, leaving the outer collar on the template set, and I clamp the inlay template over the defect. Then just use the router collar to follow the template you created around to route out all of the area that is the defect. I usually route around the perimeter of the template and then also make a few passes through the middle and then clean the rest of the chips out with a good sharp chisel. You should end up with something that looks like this. Next, clamp the template down to an offcut and use the router to cut out a plug that you'll use to fill the recess you made earlier. You're going to remove the outer ring of your inlay template set. This time you're going to be very careful to only follow the collar around the perimeter of the template so that you only cut out the plug. Off camera over at the bandsaw, I cut the plug out of the scrap piece. Then just carefully sand the plug using sandpaper, your belt sander, any number of methods to sneak up on the size to fit directly in the cavity that you routed out earlier. You can use a pencil to even mark the high spots as you tweak and tune to make the plug fit very snug. Once the plug fits, give it a coat of glue around the edges and underneath and gently tap it into the cavity with a good firm tap. The plug is a little proud of the surface, and I used my very aggressive belt on my belt sander to take it down most of the way, and then just a palm sander with 100 grit to smooth it out till it's flush. Finally, I filled the nail holes like I did in the previous method, sanded those flush, and you end up with a nice clean plank suitable for painting, staining, or really however you'd like to finish it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please click like and subscribe to my channel.